Hey everybody, how you doing? We're going a little early tonight because I'm going to be on with Stefan Molyneux. But another interesting day. Are you tired of the winning yet? One of the things that I enjoy about the way people are communicating on the alt-right, it's almost like you have this benediction that I got a phone call today from someone whose name you would probably recognize. And I said, are you tired of winning yet? And without missing a beat, he immediately responded, so much winning! So, yeah, apologies. Apparently I'm Periscope cucking Mike Cernovich. I don't mean to do it, but I'd already scheduled this at this time, so I didn't want to leave you all hanging while you waited for Mike to finish his. So, apologies, Mike. I'm sorry. This is why I'm missing yours. Anyhow, yeah, clean slate at State. Let's talk about that. The headline on the Washington Post was, the State Department's entire senior management team just resigned. It is the biggest simultaneous departure of institutional memory that anyone can remember. And that's fantastic, because what it means, what we're seeing is that the God Emperor is draining the swamp. You know, that's exactly what we've been calling for him to do. We've been demanding for him to drain the swamp. And the thing that's great is that, these people are preemptively, to a certain extent, they're preemptively draining themselves. Now, it doesn't mean anything. They always all resign whenever a new administration comes in, but then the resignations are not accepted. However, in this case, it's pretty clear that they were informed that their resignations were going to be accepted. And so, initially there was some uncertainty. In fact, if you read the Washington Post piece, it talks about how it's unclear whether their resignations were being sought or not, but then it did come out later that the Trump administration did not want them to continue on. And that's great news, because let's face it, the State Department's actions and the foreign policy that they've been enacting over the past really 15 to 20 years have been a complete disaster. And so, no, there's no golden parachutes. You don't have golden parachutes in government. I'm sure that they're going to be picking up some really good private sector jobs, but again, the revolving door is shut. There's no more revolving door where they go out to private industry to lobby the people who fill their old positions. So, what I wanted to talk about, though, is that there's another pattern that I'm noticing with the Trump administration, and what that is he is calling the left wing and the media on their bluffs. For as long as I can remember, going back to Reagan even, the media has successfully bluffed the Republican Party and the various Republicans in office. And what I mean by that is they constantly challenge them with every action that's suggested. These dire predictions are made about, if you do X, then terrible Y and Z and W are all going to happen. Like, for example, in the ABC interview, the reporter, when Donald Trump was telling the ABC News reporter that he was planning to ban immigration from many Muslim countries, and he was also going to be instituting what he called extreme vetting and making it very, very hard to get into the USA for people from a lot of different countries. The amazing thing was the reporter said, well, aren't you afraid of making Muslims more angry? As if this has any bearing whatsoever on the president's decision making. It's ridiculous. And Trump's response could not have been better. He said, the world is an angry place. The world is a mess. The world is as angry as it gets. Bush and Obama have been bombing them for 15 years. How much more angry can they be? We're supposed to let them in, or else they'll get mad. Well, even if they do get mad, isn't it better that they get mad on the other side of the border rather than inside the USA? much less, resident inside the USA. And so, the same thing, the exact same thing happened with Mexico. I mean, the God Emperor is a master at this kind of stuff. I would not want to play poker with the guy. He put on Twitter, directly out on Twitter, and basically laid a challenge down to the Mexican government, saying to the Mexican president, hey, if you're not willing to pay for the wall, don't come. If you're coming, then we're discussing how you're paying for the wall. And it's funny because, of course, the Mexican president then, as you know, then decided, well, I'm not going to come. I'm not going to come and have the meeting. So then, immediately, he's just walking into Trump's trap. Trump loves to set up these dilemmas where you flip a coin and it's heads you lose and tails he wins. And so, immediately Trump says, fine, you don't want to pay for the wall? You don't want to meet? Guess what? We're going to slap a 20% tariff on all imports coming from Mexico. They're going to, with the just from the trade deficit alone, even if they only applied it to that extent, then it would be 10 billion a year on the 50 billion a year trade deficit. And this is really frightening a lot of people, because what they're seeing is that the guy isn't just effective. The guy is ruthlessly efficient and ruthlessly effective. And the thing that was fantastic about Spicer's statement when he was talking about this 20% tariff is he said 160 other countries have similar taxes. And so, excuse me, so there's absolutely no reason, no excuse for them to not fund that, and there's absolutely no reason for the USA to continue with NAFTA, continue with this charade of free trade and so forth. And so, I'm going to be writing a column. Some of you may have noticed, I had an article on the UNS Review today, and I'm going to be contributing occasionally a column to UNS, mostly focused on economics, and we're going to be starting on with the trade issue right away, because that's obviously at the forefront right now. But another example of this is, we all know that voter fraud favors one party. Voter fraud always favors the Democrats. When we were calculating, I think I scooped the media by about, 45 minutes or so with regards to Florida in terms of who won Florida. But one of the things that you had to account for is I had to account for the fact that there was going to be voter fraud in the biggest Florida county, the primary, I think it was Dade County, and so you couldn't, even though Trump clearly had enough to win, you couldn't definitely call it for him until the gap was larger than the number of registered voters still to be reported from Dade County. And so what's fantastic is that he said, we're going to launch an investigation. None of the illegal votes go to Republicans. Wanton Democrat chicanery. And it's true. And the thing is that they're going to uncover, I predict that when they investigate the voter fraud, that they're going to discover that it is probably an order of magnitude larger than people are expecting. And this is how Republicans are going to stay in the game despite the negative demographics against them. And so it's going to be a real battle, because what a lot of people don't realize is that something in the early 80s, the Republican Party was party to this little agreement that they would never investigate voter fraud. I have no idea why they agreed to it, why they decided to abide by it, but it's very, very clear that Donald Trump has absolutely no intention of abiding by that, because why would he? He wasn't party to the agreement. So what they need to do is they need to audit every single state. I mean, start with California, get in there with Pennsylvania and New Jersey are known to be horrific in that regard, and they'll probably find over 500,000 fake votes, maybe more, in Florida alone. So this is major strategic stuff. This is not tactical moves. It's kind of funny because the media is talking about it like it's so dangerous. Why would the president be calling into question the legitimacy of his own election? Well, because he's thinking about the next election. He's thinking about the election 2 years from now. He's thinking about his own re-election, and he's thinking about the fate of the country in general. In fact, I would bet that he's a lot more concerned about the fate of the country than he is about the midterm elections coming up or his own re-election. Because frankly, knowing Donald Trump, he probably assumes correctly that he's going to win in 2020. In fact, one of the things that I told my partner over at Crypto Fashion is we need to get these Trump Slide shirts updated. We need to get Trump Slide 2020 because I believe that the God Emperor is not only going to win, he's going to win in a Reagan Mondale type Trump Slide. So, what was the other thing? Someone had just asked a question I wanted to address. I can't remember. Someone said he'll accomplish 2 terms work in one. At this rate, he might accomplish two terms work in about a year and a half. Trump is not going to be impeached. There's not a chance of that. You're kind of forgetting who is in control of the House and Senate. Oh, that's what I wanted to mention. I was going to say it was one of the most brilliant things I'd ever seen a president do when I mentioned the move with Mexico, except for the fact that he did something that was even arguably more brilliant and even funnier, was when he was talking about getting his Commerce Secretary confirmed. And he was giving a speech and he was saying, hey, I'd really like to get my Commerce Secretary confirmed. The Prime Minister of Great Britain is coming. And I've talked to the Senate, and unfortunately those guys are too slow. They're really slow with their pen. Mitch McConnell's told me that they're going to get him approved, but it's taking longer than it should. I'd like to get this done right away. Theresa May, the Prime Minister of Britain, is coming. She wants to talk about trade, and I don't have my Commerce Secretary. And it was absolutely brilliant because he just looks out at the crowd and smiles and says, but that's okay. I can do it myself. And that scared the media, it scared the House, it scared the Senate. They're all thinking, we've got to confirm this Commerce Secretary because otherwise we're going to have the God Emperor himself handling the direct negotiations, and who knows what's going to happen then. We're going to end up with London or something. Frankly, I think that we could. I would love to see him actually do that. This is an amusing. Trump is as fake as that library behind you. Yeah, not exactly. You see that red row? That's the Cambridge Ancient History series. The green down there, that's the Cambridge Medieval History series. Both of them first editions. And then you have, of course, the 1911 Encyclopedia Britannica, which is, by all accounts, the best, most comprehensive Encyclopedia Britannica that was out there. It was a gift from a friend of mine, one of my readers that I very much appreciate down in Rome, and there's nothing fake about it, I assure you. And in fact, actually, this row right there, not much point, by my shoulder, those are actually Castalia House books. If you want those, you know where to find them. And the Encyclopedia of Wars. Oh yeah, actually, if you see the red, the blue right by my ear, those are the Encyclopedia of Wars, which you may recall being cited in The Irrational Atheist. And so, anyhow, but one of my favorite things, the war games. Oh well, you can see those orange things by my shoulder. Those are the ASL rule books, and if you look above it, there's a stack of Siege of Jerusalem, Ante High Lightning, that sort of thing, all over the place. So we'll do a full tour some other time. I don't have too much time tonight because I'm going to be going on with, as I said, with Stefan Molyneux, and that's gonna take a while. But the thing that I want to remind you all of is that we can learn from the God Emperor. We've talked about not being afraid. We've talked about speaking the truth without fear. But the other thing that you really notice is the enthusiasm, the high energy. That's part of why I launched this particular this Darkstream thing, is because hey, I can do one more thing. I can do one. This is basically like doing another post or so. And so the whole idea, the whole goal, is to just keep the momentum going, keep pushing, keep the high energy up, because it feeds on itself. The energy that you guys have is something that re-energizes me, and hopefully I'm able to pass on some useful ideas and concepts to you. And so we're seeing so many people moving to the right, moving to the alt-right. There's a hilarious column, Rod Dreher. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He actually picked up my syndicated column when he was at the Dallas Morning News. But he is among the cuckier cucks. He tends to be more concerned about being nice than anything else. And so there was a column, and it was these people talking about how the alt-right was appealing deeply to them, how it was seductive to them, and they see it almost as a temptation. And it's because the alt-right offers truth combined with tribe. You put truth together with tribe, and you have something that's very, very powerful. And our nationalism is much, much stronger than the civic nationalism of the alt-right, or alt-light, I should say. I mean, I respect the civic nationalists. I understand their dream. It's a pretty dream, but it's false. And I'm going to be debating Jack Murphy next week. And he's alt-light. He's one of those, the alt-right is dead, that sort of thing. And it's going to be interesting because, frankly, he's a smart guy. He's a good guy, but I don't think he has a chance. And the reason is because his logical foundations, are built on sand. And so we don't have to worry about branding. We don't have to worry about a leader. We don't have to worry about people failing here and there or whatever, or making mistakes, because we have the truth on our side, because we have the historical trends on our side, because we have the socioeconomic trends on our side. And also, maybe even more importantly, our opponents are completely wrapped up in lies. Everything, even our friends, some of them, are misled and confused. You're right. A couple of guys have said the alt-right is the gateway to the alt-right. That's right. And that's why we need to be friendly with them. That's why we need to treat them well. That's why we need to keep speaking the truth to them and keep pointing out the lies of the other side and keep pointing out the misrepresentations that they've accepted. Things like, the melting pot and the Zeroth Amendment and, all these other fictions that they've been sold. We need to keep sharing the truth with them because they will come to join us. Anyone who values the truth and anyone who scratches their head when they're told things that are not true and says, that just doesn't sound right. Anyone who does that is a potential member of the alt-right. So, anyhow, it's great to see you all. Thanks for coming. I will be back on that is the history of the beauty. That's Umberto Eco. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and enjoy the winning. Keep on winning, And I'm not tired of it. I hope you're not either.